Hi, it's Laura from Six Figure Writing Secrets, and one of my favorite things to talk about is time management because I feel like as you grow your freelance writing business, it is one of the things that you need to be most conscious of and prepared for. You have a limited amount of hours per day, and many people who have been in the freelance writing business for a while will hit, a time cap or an income cap when they realize they can't do any more. One of the ways that I keep track of the amount of work that I'm bringing on, as well as how I manage all of it to get it from the point of the client agreeing to do the work all the way to completion and invoicing, is by keeping a really organized to-do list. And the good thing about living in this digital age is that there are so many materials and applications that you can use in order to keep track of a to-do list. So I wanted to talk about some of my favorite tips for freelance writers who are looking to manage their to-do list and stay on top of all of their projects. There are so many apps out there that you can use, and these are just a couple of them. Some people that I know use Todoist. One of the cool things about Todoist is that you can set recurring tasks. So you could have, someone's blog post that needs to be published. You could put that as something that has to come up every Monday. So even if you check it off for this Monday, it will populate again the following Monday to remind you to do it again, which is really cool. That's actually one of the weaknesses of the second tool, To-Do. That being said, I've used To-Do for 4 years now, and for me, it's just the easiest to work with because it has the best user interface for me, and I can get a picture of what my week looks like as a whole. I just found it really difficult to remove recurring tasks and things in Todoist, but this is why I'm presenting all these options. There are so many tools out there, and it's going to depend on your individual preferences as far as what works for you. So take a look at all of them, play around with them. I've definitely used Todoist before and see the benefits of it, but it just didn't really work for me the way I was hoping it would. I believe there is a premium version of Todoist, which you would probably want to invest in. It just has some more features and allows you to tap into more of the premium options. I believe the recurring projects, for example, is a premium aspect of working with Todoist. To-Do is only $24 a year, very inexpensive, and allows you to sort of see your week at a glance, and you can just literally click things off as you do them. One of the things I like about it, and Todoist does this as well, is it will take the tasks that you didn't complete today and roll them over to the next day. It's a very simple interface to work with, so you're not really going to be able to break things down too much on a day-to-day basis. There are sections for your to-do list at the bottom where you can have more information about, let's say you want to have a personal finance section and you've got specific tasks for managing your personal finance. So you might use the day-to-day function for your actual client projects, but then you're keeping track of your own personal projects at the bottom there. Some people might not like that because it could just be a little too confusing. Personally, I find it to be the easiest for me to use, and I just love that it rolls things over from one day to the next. As soon as I get a project or as soon as an email comes in that has something I need to deal with inside it, I will immediately put it on To Do so that I don't forget about it. It's just super easy. There's an app for your phone. I would say it's certainly one of the easiest things to use. That said, it's not going to have all the features that you might need to keep track of various projects. If you've got comprehensive projects, you might choose something like Google Calendar. And you can block your time in Google Calendar for your creative time or your client project creation time, and then list in there the projects you want to work with during that particular period. That's a really great tool for blocking off your schedule, particularly if you have a virtual assistant who's also checking in on your schedule and they're booking all of your appointments. So you want to make sure you have that carved out time that isn't being interrupted. Google Calendar is a great way to divide up your day so that you can tell what projects you have on tap and set out your time well in advance. A lot of writers that I know who use Google Calendar set it up perhaps the Friday before for the whole week ahead so they know what their week looks like. And there are some people who prefer the old-fashioned hard copy approach, and that could certainly work for you as well if you have a printed format that you like to keep track of your to-do list. Everyone has different requirements, and it's all about knowing what works best for you. For me, I guess I'm a little more old school. To-do and hard copy tend to work best for me. But for some of my more comprehensive projects, I have used a free tool such as Trello to keep track of all the different moving parts. That can be great when you're working with a team as well. It could even be helpful if you have one client who orders a tremendous amount of work, for example. It's a good way to loop them in on the project, communicate, not have so many emails flying back and forth. But for your simple freelance writing projects, these tools should work well. Another tip I have is start your to-do list on Fridays. It has you thinking about the week ahead. And this way you know whether you need to do more marketing work, you know whether you're overbooked and you need to move some appointments around. It also gets you in the frame of mind of thinking about how you're going to block your time for that coming week ahead. So organize your projects by day. If you have to work on a bigger project, like a white paper, for example, you might block out an entire morning or an afternoon for that. Having that uninterrupted time to work on bigger projects is extremely helpful for cutting off any distractions. You might also realize on a Friday that you've actually given yourself so much work that it's not going to be something you can accomplish in the 5 days of the week. So you might get a heads up, oh, I need to spend 2 hours on Sunday getting more organized for something. That happens to me as well as many other freelance writers. You realize that you're either underbooked or overbooked, and finding that out on Friday in advance gives you a path to fix any problems associated with that. I also strongly recommend on a daily basis, if you are writing every day, right before you check email. One of the greatest things that I implemented in my business last year were using tools like Boomerang or Gmail Inbox Pause. Boomerang allows you to have a message removed from your inbox and come back at a later time. You can even set it to filter, if this person doesn't answer this email in 48 hours or 3 days, have it pop back into your inbox to remind you. Gmail Inbox Pause is amazing because it hides incoming email in your email box from you. So this is one tool that I use to get caught up on my email. If I'm in the morning and I answer everybody, it's very distracting if I answer 4 people's emails and then they immediately reply to me, because I'm constantly in this loop of getting and responding to emails. So I use Gmail Inbox Pause to only deliver email to my box a couple times per day. Tim Ferriss and other experts recommend only checking email twice a day. If you can't stick to that, start out with 4 times a day or 3 times a day and work your way down. So Gmail Inbox Pause, all those emails, you could still find them if you absolutely had to. It's just hidden in your folders. And then at the appointed time, it will transfer all of that to your inbox. So that way you're not constantly playing catch up or having problems with a client who writes you back right away and then you never get out of the mode of checking emails. Likewise, just only accept and return emails at certain times. If you get off of this habit, it can be very detrimental to your business. If someone, I have my Gmail Inbox Pause set to deliver at 7:30 in the morning, at 12:30, and then one last time at 3:30. So if an email comes in at 6 p.m., 7 p.m., 8 p.m., I'm not seeing it till the following morning. And if you get used to this, your clients will get used to it too. They will get into the habit of knowing that you only check email a couple of times per day. It's a good way to train them as well as you not to get sucked down the rabbit hole of email. Implementing any of these tools or just the project of always writing before you check your email, get the creative juices flowing and do your writing first, can save you hours every single week. And your clients will eventually get used to it. One of the things that I worried about when I first implemented this with my clients was that they'd be mad that they didn't get an immediate response. Most of them are busy too, so they will understand, that they are not your only client, and they will eventually get used to seeing a response from you only once or twice a day if that's even necessary. This also has the side benefit of eventually training your clients that not all emails are necessary. Some emails are highly unnecessary. There's not vital information in there. Just because it's easy to send an email doesn't mean that you should. And so it will hopefully cut down on the amount of emails you receive overall as people realize that, hey, I'm not going to get a response on this until tomorrow morning. Is it worth sending at all? I also love doing a Sunday recap. So after you have done all of your planning on Friday, you might have had to allot some weekend time to get a little more organized. Have any new problems emerged? For example, did you get a report from a client after you closed your office Friday afternoon and they need something handled immediately Monday morning? That's a good chance for you to go back, look at your calendar, see where you can block some time from that. You might have also completed some tasks, or a project was canceled, or something has been taken over by a team member, so you can erase tasks from your list. I love doing the Sunday recap because it ensures that you're totally ready for the week and you're in the right mindset on Monday morning. Also, use specific blocks or days or even specific projects. So setting aside your time I find time blocking to be really effective. Some people do it by saying, I'm going to commit 2 hours per day to working on my personal blog. It's not a very good idea to hop all over people's projects. There is a tendency in the society we live in to think that being a really good multitasker is beneficial. I have found that the work quality I submit is much better when I'm focused on one client's projects at a time. So answering an email and then writing client A's blog post and then going back and working on client B's blog post and then answering another email tends to create situations where you're really distracted. So it can be really challenging. One of the tools I recommend for this is use the Pomodoro technique and create your calendar with this in mind. This means doing 25 or 50 minutes of uninterrupted work and then taking a break. Some people use music tools or a timer to help them concentrate during this period. If you do 25 minutes at a time, then take a 5-minute break. If you do a 50-minute period, take a 10-minute break. This works really well when you need to wrap up a project, when you need to brainstorm, when you need to be really creative, because having that 25 or 50 minutes of uninterrupted time tends to create much more in terms of quality as opposed to doing 5 minutes here and 5 minutes there. Being spread too thin or being too distracted is not really good for you or your business. So use the Pomodoro technique, and it's really easy to block that into your schedule. So for example, maybe you're most productive in the mornings and you might schedule 3 blocks of 50-minute focus time in the morning with the 10-minute breaks in between. Put the projects that require the most amount of your focus and brain power in those 50-minute blocks. And if you do this throughout the week, you'll be amazed at how much more you get done. There's a big difference between 5 hours of distracted, hopping all over the place work as opposed to a little less than 3 hours of really focused work that you're doing consistently. I strongly recommend you give the Pomodoro technique a chance. It has worked out a lot better for me than I thought that it would, and I am always impressed by what I can create during these periods. I use a tool called Focus at Will. It's an app that plays music, and all of it is designed to help you stay focused while you're working on some type of a creative project. You can even set the timer on Focus at Will to be in line with the Pomodoro technique, and it will just ding when you're done. So it's sort of a musical cue to finish up your work. It's also helped train me to be in the mode of working because I associate the music played on those channels with the need to focus and be completely locked into whatever task I'm doing. As you can see, there are tons of different options for you to use when putting together a to-do list. And being really organized with the way that you structure your projects can save you a lot of time, and it can also make your clients happier, cut down on the amount of frustration you have responding to emails, and ultimately your work quality is likely to be better as well. Stay tuned to 6-Figure Writing Secrets to learn more about tips that you can use as a new or emerging freelancer.